They say they want to win the war on terror, but call for America to pull out from what al-Qaeda says is the central front in this war. Ask them this question: what's your plan?
Well, President Bush telling Democrats to put up or essentially shut up when it comes to winning the war on terror. This is a report on WorldNet Daily. Quotes terror leaders as saying that they hope Democrats win so that American troops do leave Iraq. One says, and I quote, "It is time that the American people support those who want to take them out of this Iraqi mud." With us now, New York Congressman Peter King. He is chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee. Congressman, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I think that the message that the Democrats are sending, too many Democrats are sending, is that they are implying to the American people if they're elected, they're going to get us out of Iraq. And when the terrorists hear that, you know, we know what bin Laden thought when the United States left Somalia. That showed him the American people did not have the will to continue the tough fight. And so I can see why terrorists, they see that the majority of Democrats were against reauthorizing the Patriot Act. They're against the NSA surveillance of foreign terrorists making phone calls into the United States. They seem more concerned about the civil rights of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed than any normal person should be. And then when they give the impression that they are going to get us out of Iraq no matter what, that has to embolden the terrorists. And listen, the Democrats mean well, but the reality is that words have consequences, deeds have consequences, and the Democratic words and some of their deeds, indicated by their votes, to me, that this is very damaging to us in the war against terrorism.
Let me ask you this. Earlier this week, Mr. Chairman, I had a chance to talk to the Vice President of the United States, Dick Cheney, and he raised the issue that the increase in the attacks on American soldiers, more to the point, was timed to affect the elections next week. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think that it's always true with an enemy. I mean, especially terrorists. They know that they can't defeat us on the battlefield. They know they can never defeat the American army, but they hope, just like with Vietnam and with Somalia and going back before that to Beirut, that they can destroy or weaken the will of the American people. And again, when terrorists look and they see what the Democrats did, you had such an outstanding Democrat such as Joe Lieberman, who was in effect driven out of the Democratic Party in Connecticut solely because he thought that we should try to make Iraq work, that he wanted to have a bipartisan foreign policy. So, the Democrats, when they get in, if they do get in, and I certainly hope they don't, but, they may think that, okay, we can then change our policies and we won't be as radical as we're giving the American people the impression we are.
Yeah, but I know you're casting aspersions on Democrats, and that's, well, your want as a Republican, but aren't Republicans going to be under the same pressure if they win, that they can read the tea leaves too? And there's enormous political pressure on Republicans, certainly ahead of 2008, to think and act the exact same way.
Neil, no one wants to stay in Iraq one day longer than we have to. But, we're elected, and there's a certain degree of responsibility. Listen, nobody wants to be out of Iraq more than I do. I've been there. I know it's a tough place to be. I know what our soldiers are going through. I also know what they've achieved. But the reality is, if we pull out too quickly, it's going to result in more American lives being lost. So I think that the president is trying to adjust tactics and strategy. We should work with him. If we have differences, say it, but not pull out for the sake of pulling out. That's what I'm talking about.
All right. Mr. Chairman, we'll see if that stays after Tuesday. Good seeing you again.
Yeah,
meanwhile, did Bill Clinton just give Republicans the best endorsement they could ever ask for? What he said and why Democrats might be worried about what he said.